And come on in my kitchen. The more you can like kind of embrace this sucks. I have to get this end ready and this end ready. It's actually going to take less time. So at home in your practice, like we talked about during the lesson, really try to separate between I'm learning this riff and I'm playing this riff. And it's only something we talk about once ever. But when you're learning it, I want you to completely disregard rhythm. Our brain goes by, I want to hear how the riff goes. How do I know if I? You just do. You like go, okay, there's two of these, for instance. That's something we can pretty much handle. That's always our goal, to pick small sections, put it directly into your long-term memory, move on to the next thing. There are other ways to do it. That's just how to really do it and get it to stick. But just get back to show for a second. Hey there. Hey, I need about 2 minutes, man. You mind chilling out here for a second? Thanks. Well, I'll see you. Cool. Alright, best 15 seconds ever in the history of video. So here's this. We're stringing all three strings like that. And this is where you realize maybe not so much my pinky anymore. I also talked about pulling away from the instrument and not doing this bend, which I think you're doing to be like, motherfucker, I'm gonna get my fingers on these strings, not these strings. So yeah, the key to the whole thing is just feeling like you have unlimited time to get ready, and then that split second is just going to become more and more insignificant, where as you make yourself be consciously aware of it for an hour, you never have to think about it again. But if you don't do it, it'll be a hang-up for months. Anyway, it's my job to make you do annoying stuff like that. So in our slides in this juxtaposition, and not this or any of this stuff. Cool, so we're going, there's the first riff, and just make sure you hear your melody note on the first string. Do not accept any of that. Anytime you hear it, just correct. So yeah, here if I did this with a pick, it would go, we'd hear my slide back up, and I'm trying to go, so we've actually got a dampen in there. First riff, get really good at that. Second riff, no longer play the first riff. And what's more, we already know how to go, which is the beginning of the second riff, so we're going to zero in on this 10 on the first string. And this was our first time we had to actually go this, leave it there, this, and we're going. I just want to remind you that like your slide to be on about 3 or 4 strings as opposed to 5 or 6 at this point, kind of like troubleshoot. Anyway, so there's this. So de-emphasize rhythm, and it goes, I pick this and I put it back and keep it there. And not like a 2-note slide there, goes bing boing. Cool, so that whole riff, so stop and get good at just the bing boing part. And then we're going. There's our second one. We're being really anal about this stuff right now. In reality, you won't do all of this dampening stuff. We're going for a super clean tone, so you know how to do it, and then in reality you'll kind of play a more fluid style, but whatever. Cool. So there's our first 2 riffs. We had and then we're going, which is identical to our previous riff, and then we're just throwing in another note at the end. Let's zoom in on those last 3 notes. So we're still doing that same that we had just done, and then you're just striking the 3rd string. You're subconsciously going to be tempted to dampen the 2nd note as well. Here we're going ring, put it back, then these 2 the regular way. So that's like, and if you find that tripping you out at all, switch to open strings. Anytime it's like, man, switch to open strings, it seems like training wheels or whatever, but you do it 3 times, all of a sudden it's like, why was that ever hard? Which I think you experienced during the lesson. Cool, so we just went, great, and then we're about to go. That's the one where I did with the pick during the lesson and demonstrated, it's like if I used the pick for this, a totally different melody would come out. So yeah, we're going 2 notes that both ring out, dampen the whole thing, back up. There we are, so it's slide, slide. And then the rest is kind of a subsection, so here's those 4 riffs one time. Then we're going to be like, and that was talked about sliding to the 3rd fret, how it's not going to actually be quite 2 frets. Yeah, so I'm going. Be really aware of your slide, not doing this with this at this point. It's really tempting around the 3rd fret to be like my old mechanics for everyone. And then so it's like so that's one pick of your index finger, you know, it's like a single note, return, and, you know, so I absolutely do not mean then you strike the string. It's a pull off, like we talked about in the lesson. It's like as long as you make it a distinctive movement, it's totally going to ring out. Even if this note was kind of fizzling out, pull off will still sound unless you roll off one of your fingers or whatever. The rest is pretty self-explanatory. So there we go. Awesome. You have been lessoned, and I believe I'm just going to make a note that it was like around 4:45 where I started playing the whole thing. If you want to skip back to that or whatever. Awesome. So let us do this, upload it.